So I'm gonna journal this one by video because it was 4 positions, so too much to just write down. I don't want to write a book. So this is the 1 hour, but you can see by the 1 hour that the daily is extremely bullish. We are in a crazy strong uptrend, and the market has proven itself recently to only go for the nearest point of interest and then just rip higher. Did it all the days, all the time. So that was my bias. I thought we're gonna come again for this nearest liquidity pool, probably, depending how price reacts there, obviously, probably sparing the daily open gap. And you see already by the 1 hour that almost closed at this point. So this is 5 minutes before the close. 1 hour, massive rejection, bullish close incoming, beautiful. Also on the M15, we see we have this absolute beautiful, fully engulfing, super bullish candle out of that 1 hour fair value gap. So just absolutely textbook. So this was now, we also have, by the way, let me make this a little bigger. So we have this high and we close above it. So we have a close BOS as well on the M15. So this was just such a strong low, man. Like this was so probable to hold this low. So let's get into the 5 minutes first, actually. So I saw that we were ripping higher. We induced this body low here and rejected massively again, making a higher close. So that was my entry signal. I just market executed on this candle. This was my first position. Stop loss under the low, expecting how NAS has been recently to just never look back and just absolutely rip up. So my first position was this. I basically entered right when this candle closed. Let's go to M1. Also looked nice on M1. We have one bearish candle that instantly gets closed above right after. So I just market executed here. And let's go through that first position. So obviously, when you go into these continuations, you have these days on NASDAQ where it's just gonna rip lower, right? Like it's gonna do that extra inducement forex style that it often doesn't do, but sometimes does. But this was a calculated risk. I know that there's a chance that I get induced. Doesn't mean my idea today is wrong, but I give myself to opportunities, and this was the first opportunity and it failed. So I lost 1% on this trade, but then we had this beautiful candle, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the one that I entered on the next trade. Yes, so on this close, I basically entered right away because I thought, okay, we induced the bottom. This was also, I think, on M5. Yeah, so we wicked through that M5 low to induce it essentially. M3, we can take a look as well. Yeah, looks the same basically. And we just had this beautiful engulfing candle. So I was like, okay, this is going to be my second shot with my stop loss at the extreme, because getting stopped out here actually gave me a good entry if there is a confirmation, which happened, engulfing candle, to get back in and give this a second shot for a 2R to the top. So expecting, if this works out, to make 1% on the day. Lost one, make 2, 1% profit on the day. That was the plan. And when this started ripping higher, I had a beautiful confirmation. So what I actually did was scaling in. First, I dragged my stop loss. So this position here, I dragged my stop loss up to cut the risk in half. And I scaled in. This trade actually, yeah, when we started rejecting or respecting this 1 minute fair value gap, I decided to get back in on this candle here. And so this is half the risk of this position, which means that I saved half an hour of risk and I deployed it in here. So if this stops me out, both positions stop losses here, I lose my second percent, I'm down 2% on the day, and I stopped trading because I took my second loss. And then I was expecting it to melt through anyway, because why would it induce twice? It didn't make sense. So I thought if I'm right on the idea, this low is gonna hold, which made sense at the time, and didn't look too promising at first, smashing down again, but in the end it was just a mitigation. We started popping higher. Let me just fast forward this a little bit. So we were climbing nicely back to all-time highs. And then I had my trailing stop on both positions, I think under this low here at this point. And it's just taking its time, getting close to take profit. And then it starts ripping lower, and I actually let myself get induced here. So I got stopped out. I'm basically closed here, or got stopped out here, and took a little bit of a profit. So I made, on these two positions combined, I made 1.3%. So I made up for this loss plus 0.3% of profit. And I was like thinking that this is probably me calling it a day. But it gave a nice confirmation after sweeping this, and you have to see the context of this on M15. First, we have this fair value gap. Let me just draw this out real quick. One sec. M15. So we kind of tapped this here earlier in the trade, and then we retire. But I was aware that this is basically not a mitigation yet, and that we could definitely come and tap that. So I was aware that my stop loss is probably a little bit conservative, and to be honest, yeah, I think in hindsight I should have just put my stop here. And if I get stopped out, then I still make a little bit of profit, recover a little bit of this loss, and maybe I'm down on the day a little bit, but yeah, it was a little too conservative, a little too careful. My stop didn't give the trade breathing room. But what I ultimately ended up doing after this, let's just fast forward. So this came down again. We get this beautiful mitigation. Look at this now. So this was, let me see. This was the close. This was actually the M15 close. And you can see it, right? We tap into this M15 FVG. Nice rejection. Nice reaction. Look at this beautiful rejection candle going back up. Of course, you can then wait for a higher high on M1 or whatever. But I just said to myself, okay, this could easily be the low of this pullback. I'm just going to deploy the remaining 0.3% risk into this position. Early aggressive entry. And if I lose it, I'm break even on the day, man. Like, it's all good, you know. And we kept ripping right away, which was a nice confirmation. And ultimately, I'm just gonna play this out. I was considering just taking profits when we reswept all-time highs, but NAS almost never goes to all-time highs, sweeps them, and then instantly reverses, because all the retail people that wants to short that, they always get wrecked. So you have that retail getting wrecked move a little higher normally. So I basically made it, let me just go a little more forward. I made it dependent on the M15 close, and the M15 basically closed right at the high instead of rejecting it. So I was looking to hold it a little bit more, expecting at least one more push out higher, and that's what we got, and that's where I closed it. I made 5R on this trade, or I think more like 4. I think this is not the most precise tool ever. But in total, I made 1.5% on the day. So I didn't just recover my loss, but made 1.5% overall. I think every trading decision that I did here was perfectly reasonable. I just followed price action in an extremely bullish trend. And these trades recently just work out, you know, like you can, these NAS runs, man, if you trade these correctly and if you adjust to the market as a move or as a trend is unfolding. For example, I don't think NAS is always gonna be reacting from the first POI during an uptrend, not always, but in this trend, it just happened to be like a million times like that, like every time basically. So I adjusted and I took these more aggressive entries from the very first POI, because that's what the market just keeps doing. So I keep milking this bullish market, and it just makes sense. You know, if the next bear trend induces more or whatever, I have to be more careful with where I short from, obviously. But this trend is so aggressive that I just want to capitalize, and so far it's going well. I think this is gonna head for 30,000 before we get a major pullback. But yeah, that's all stuff for the future. I think I managed everything well today. Could have easily been a minus 2% day. But I think like the stop losses were just in the right places, and that's why I made money today, even though my idea took a little to play out. Ultimately, I was right on the direction and managed to capitalize.